Hello students, the purpose of this video is to introduce you to the argumentative unit. First, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about rhetoric, which is the key word that we've been using throughout the entire semester and what it means in terms of your argumentative essay that is due at the end of the semester. I'm then going to give you a brief introduction to argumentative writing and ways that you can get started, along with introducing you to the annotated bibliography assignment. Now, first and foremost, I want to cover rhetoric. If you remember this from the beginning of the semester, a strict definition of rhetoric is the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the use of figures of speech and other compositional techniques. Essentially, if you are utilizing rhetoric, which you have done for every single assignment, every single paper throughout the entire semester, then you are making an argument. And I've pictured below three famous people that have all used rhetoric in their life in order to make an argument, which is exactly what you're going to be doing with this final paper. Something to keep in mind is that rhetoric is everywhere. Everywhere in the world, there is someone or something telling you to buy something or go somewhere or do something, right? There's argument that can be found everywhere in the entire world. For example, on the left, we have marketing campaigns, right? That target consumers to buy certain products using specialized rhetoric. A job interview, you're going to be using rhetoric in that. You're going to be making an argument for yourself in the most effective way possible as to why you're the best person to get the job. Protests are another example. Whenever you are part of a protest or anything like that, you are using rhetoric in order to get a bill passed or not passed and things like that. So what can you expect to learn from this unit? There are a couple of key words that are located in your assignment instructions for the final argumentative essay that I want to pull out. So we have logos, ethos, and pathos. These are considered to be the foundation or the pillars of argumentative writing, and we're going to be going really in depth with those. I'm going to be talking about different rhetorical devices that you can use in order to make your writing really effective. I'm going to be talking to you about avoiding fallacies. These are logical fallacies that really inhibit your argument. And I'm going to be going over tone, in which you find your voice as a writer and discover for yourself what the best tone is to get your message across. What is personal to you? What does it mean for you? What is the best choice? And this may seem really overwhelming. And so I wanted to give you a little bit more of a idea of where to begin. And that is with researching. You're actually not going to begin by just writing your argumentative essay. In fact, we're going to take a step back. And instead, what I want you to do is just put your heart into researching your topic full out. What does this mean? It means becoming familiar with your topic and what others have to say about it, right? Because since we're choosing a controversial issue, there's going to be a lot of people that agree with you and a lot of people that don't. And you should definitely hear both sides out to see what they have to say and discover for yourself what the most effective argument is. This involves reading critically. Okay, it involves combing through the different articles and the various pieces of research that you find and saying, hey, this person actually makes a really good point that I want to use in my essay. And then also, while you're reading critically, sometimes things can change. Okay, so sometimes when you initially choose a topic for your argumentative essay, you can be really pro something. But then you do your research and you discover actually the arguments that are being made pro this something aren't that great. Instead, I think I'm going to choose the con side. And that's totally fine. Just it's important to keep in mind that you should have an open mind with the research process and the issue that you are investigating. Okay, so it's important to recognize schema and metacognition. This can be found on page 5 of your e-text. What does that mean? It means that recognize that you might have a slight bias towards something based on personal experiences from your past, maybe experiences that other people have had, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should enter into your argument with those preconceived biases. Instead, you should have a completely open mind, a blank slate about what you're researching. Recognize that it's okay that it can change as you read critically. And remember, scholars, such as we are at MCC, are self-aware. They recognize that they're bringing schema and metacognition to the table as they're doing their research. It's just important to keep those things in mind in order to avoid bias and directing your argument in a way that research doesn't actually prove. Okay? So your annotated bibliography, you will be finding a minimum of 4 different sources, and they're all going to be different. The first is you're going to find background information, or it could be considered a definition of terms. Okay, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. This is what is going to go in your introduction. You are then going to find a pro article if you are doing a pro essay. And then you're going to find a con article if you're doing a con essay. Essentially, this just means that you are finding an article that agrees with your argument. And then after that, you're going to find a con article if you're doing a pro essay, and then a pro article if you're doing a con essay. It's going to be the opposite. You are finding an article that essentially disagrees with your argument. And then finally, I give you a source of your choosing as the last one. It could be an article that agrees with your argument, that disagrees, whatever it may be, or you can find out some more background information to incorporate into your essay. Now, what do I mean by background information or the definition of terms? How does that fit into your essay and your introduction? I have created a list of questions in order to help guide you towards implementing background information into your essay. For example, what does my reader need to know in order to put my argument in context? Okay, so for example, let's say that I'm arguing against school uniforms. I don't think that they should be a thing in schools. I don't think that they should be allowed. I think that they do more harm than good, and I have some decent research to back this up. Okay, so my reader then needs to know exactly what I'm talking about. Are we talking about school uniforms that parents have to buy from a specific store? Are you talking about school uniforms in the sense of everybody has to wear a collared shirt and that's considered to be the uniform? So go ahead and specify exactly what you're talking about, okay? The next question to consider is, what are the terms that my reader may need to understand about my specific issue? Okay, so let's say that I'm writing an article, excuse me, I'm writing an essay that's against cancel culture. I am con cancel culture. I think it does more harm than good in our society. Okay, so you will need to define exactly what cancel culture is and what medium you're talking about. Are you talking about cancel culture within social media? Are you talking about cancel culture that a company has done. They've gone ahead and canceled or boycotted something that you take great offense to, or that kind of thing. And then finally, what is the current state of affairs surrounding my issue? And this is probably the most important one. This is, okay, so we're doing an essay on a law that just passed. Let's say it just passed. And we think that this law in our country is going to do more harm than good. We're against this particular law. Okay. So I need to know, as a reader, the history of the law. So what brought it to this point? Because a law doesn't become a law just overnight, right? I mean, there were probably a lot of court cases that came before it, a lot of people involved in order to get this law passed. So I need to go ahead and bring my readers up to speed, so to speak. And I have a link here about how you can better define these terms for your essay given by the Purdue OWL, and I will go ahead and post this in the LMS. Believe that's all. If you still have any questions about the argumentative essay or the annotated bibliography that is due before the essay, please feel free to shoot me an email. Until then, I will see you next time.